She says, hi. I thought, oh, wow. I said, wow, hi. She says, hi, Michael.
At 84, Al Pacino's life is far from the glamour it once was. He's spending $400,000 a year on landscaping for empty houses, supporting a 29-year-old girlfriend who's seeing other men, and taking demeaning roles just to survive. The Godfather icon even died for several minutes during COVID, with doctors fighting to bring him back. This is the shocking story of his fall. Born Alfredo James Pacino on April 25, 1940, in East Harlem, his parents, both Sicilian, separated when he was just 2. Raised by his strong-willed grandparents in the Bronx, Pacino faced daily struggles, getting into fights, skipping school, and stealing food when money was tight. He initially dreamed of being a baseball player but eventually found solace in theater, with his mother taking him to the movies. School wasn't his strength. Dropping out at 17, his mother was devastated, but Pacino was determined to follow his passion for acting. The next few years were tough, as he worked odd jobs and lived on the streets. Despite falling into bad habits like smoking, drinking, and marijuana use, he stayed focused on his goal. At 23, Pacino finally joined the actor's studio, where he trained under Lee Strasberg, learning the powerful technique of method acting. Yet, his journey to success wasn't easy. In 1962, tragedy struck when his mother died of an overdose. Still, he pushed on, eventually landing his first big break in 1968 with the off-Broadway play The Indian Wants the Bronx, earning critical acclaim and an Obie Award. In 1969, Pacino made his film debut in Me, Natalie. Though it wasn't a major hit, it marked the beginning of his film career. 2 years later, he landed his first leading role in The Panic in Needle Park, a gritty portrayal of heroin addiction in New York, where he earned further recognition. Pacino's performance in The Panic in Needle Park didn't sugarcoat addiction. It was raw and brutally honest, capturing the chaos of drug dependence with a depth that made Bobby both charismatic and troubled. Critics hailed it as one of the most authentic portrayals of addiction ever seen. Though the film wasn't a commercial hit, it became a cult classic, with Pacino's performance standing out, even as Kitty Wynn won Best Actress at Cannes. It caught the eye of a director who would change his life, Francis Ford Coppola. Coppola was casting The Godfather, 1972, and was determined to cast Pacino as Michael Corleone, despite the studio's preference for bigger names like Jack Nicholson and Robert Redford. The studio even argued that Pacino was too short and unknown. But Coppola stood his ground, believing Pacino had the quiet intensity Michael needed to evolve from an outsider to a ruthless mob boss. Initially, Pacino struggled to convince the studio. During the first week of filming, they thought his performance was too passive. Coppola fought to keep him, and the turning point came with the iconic restaurant assassination scene, where Michael kills Sollozzo and McCluskey. Pacino's controlled, powerful performance in that moment proved the studio wrong. When The Godfather premiered on March 15, 1972, it became a global sensation, grossing over $250 million on a $6 million budget. Pacino's portrayal of Michael earned him an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor, cementing his transition from theater actor to Hollywood star. In The Godfather Part 2, 1974, Pacino returned as Michael, now fully immersed in his role as the ruthless head of the Corleone family. His performance was widely praised, with critics calling it one of the greatest acting feats of all time. The film won 6 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and while Pacino lost the Best Actor Oscar to Art Carney, he won the BAFTA for Best Actor, solidifying his international acclaim. In between the Godfather films, Pacino starred in Serpico, 1973, where he portrayed NYPD officer Frank Serpico, who exposed corruption within the police force. Pacino's portrayal was explosive, earning him another Oscar nomination and proving he could master roles beyond the crime genre. Then came Dog Day Afternoon, 1975, where Pacino played Sonny Wartzik, a desperate man robbing a bank to fund his partner's gender-affirming surgery. His improvised Attica shout, referencing the 1971 prison riots, became an iconic moment in film history. The movie was another hit, earning Pacino yet another Oscar nomination. Al Pacino was at the peak of Hollywood in the early 70s with iconic roles in The Godfather, Serpico, and Dog Day Afternoon. But by the late 70s, his career hit a major slump. His first major setback came in 1977 with Bobby Deerfield, a romantic drama that failed to connect with audiences and critics alike. It was panned as slow and unengaging, with one review calling it dreck. Things got worse with Cruising in 1980, which faced fierce protests and backlash due to its controversial portrayal of New York's underground gay leather scene. Critics and audiences were unimpressed, and Pacino later admitted regretting the film in his memoir, Sonny Boy. However, in 1983, Pacino made a monumental comeback with Scarface. The violent, over-the-top role of Tony Montana, written by Oliver Stone during his cocaine struggles, was a gamble. While critics initially dismissed it, audiences embraced it, and the film became a cultural phenomenon. Pacino had proven his lasting power, but another disaster came with Revolution in 1985, a historical epic that flopped disastrously, earning only $358,574 against a $28 million budget. Taking a break from Hollywood, Pacino returned with Sea of Love in 1989 and eventually had a true comeback in 1992 with Scent of a Woman. His portrayal of Frank Slade earned him an Oscar for Best Actor, finally giving him the recognition he'd long deserved. By the 2000s, however, Pacino faced a financial crisis. He lost $50 million in a Ponzi scheme orchestrated by his financial advisor, Kenneth Starr, who was convicted in 2010. At the same time, Pacino's extravagant spending, including $400,000 a year on landscaping and owning multiple cars and cell phones he didn't need, drained his fortune. In 2011, desperate for money, Pacino took a role in Jack and Jill, a comedy that critics trashed but was a commercial hit. Pacino earned $5 million from the film, which helped him stay afloat. Though not proud of the film, he acknowledged it was a lifeline. Pacino, never married, has 4 children from 3 different relationships, including his eldest, Julie Marie, born in 1989. Al Pacino's personal life has often mirrored the drama of his roles. His first child, Julie Marie, was born in 1989 to acting coach Jan Tarrant after a brief relationship. In 2001, Pacino became a father again with twins Anton James and Olivia Rose, born to actress Beverly D'Angelo, whom he was with for 6 years. In 2023, at 83, Pacino welcomed his 4th child, Roman, with 29-year-old film producer Noor Al-Fala, who had been dating him since 2022. Over the years, Pacino has had high-profile relationships with women such as Diane Keaton, Lucilla Pollack, Tuesday Weld, and Marta Keller, but never saw marriage as part of his life. In 2020, Al Pacino contracted COVID-19 and nearly died, leading him to reflect deeply on life and death. After recovering, he promised to focus more on his health and spend more time with his son, Roman. Pacino has also struggled with chronic insomnia for years, leading to exhaustion, memory lapses, and even hallucinations. His experience with sleep deprivation influenced his role in Insomnia, 2002. Additionally, his financial troubles, including losing millions in a Ponzi scheme, worsened his insomnia. Pacino's career sparked controversy, especially with Cruising, 1980, a film criticized by LGBTQ+ activists for its portrayal of the community. He later regretted the role and donated his paycheck to charity. Pacino's relationship with Noor Al-Fala, 54 years his junior, became public when they had a son, Roman, in June 2023. By October 2024, they had split, but Pacino continued to financially support her, paying significant child support and covering various expenses. Despite speculation about her motives, Pacino remained devoted to his son and Al-Fala, keeping him in the public eye in his later years.